It's great to have a solid reminder of what people should remember in order to maximize profits in their brackets. Let's start with the very first thing. I sort of alluded to this earlier, and it sounds very simple, but man, is it everything. Understanding your scoring system. What do you mean by that?
So absolutely, if you are in like the ESPN contest, 1 point in the first round, all the way to 32 by the final, and no points for upsets, that really puts an incentive on nailing the champion and getting some of those key picks through to the final four, maybe one or two others, to win most pools. So you don't have to go crazy with upsets early. You really need to find and leverage one of those top champion picks and kind of go with ride one of those horses and surround them with some values, but not go too crazy in the early rounds when you're not getting bonus points. Now, I play in some pools where you get points based on seed difference. So you get 10 points if you pick a 10 seed versus one if you pick a one seed. Well, that makes a big difference. If you're getting bonus points for picking upsets, a lot of times picking a 12 or an 11 over a 6 makes perfect sense when you're getting double the points.
Absolutely. That's the first thing folks should know. Now, this one's a little more nuanced, and I'm going to lean on you here to articulate this properly. To assess the difference between risk and value.
Yeah, so there's if you want to win a bracket, you got to get points other people don't get, but you also have to avoid sitting there on the sidelines because you picked the 7 seed to the final four, and then the 2 or the 1 seed goes all the way and is just killing you round by round as you didn't pick it. Because you silently lose that way. So you got to balance those two factors. You don't want to just go all upsets, all 6 seeds, 5 seeds, and you don't want to go all straight chalk because you do have to differentiate yourself somewhere. But you need to find those targeted chances to take risks where it makes sense, where you're not giving up that much in terms of odds of winning.
So look for value. Don't go too crazy with some of this stuff. And a lot of this also, not a lot of this, but all of this is heavily tied into the pool size that you happen to be in as well, right? All of this is intrinsically connected to each other.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about this contest to pick a perfect bracket, which none of us are going to do. But if you're playing in a contest nationally with thousands and thousands of entries, you have to take on more risk, make some crazier picks because you're competing with so many people. If you're playing 20 buddies, 10 buddies, they're probably going to make some poor picks. They're going to take the 6 seed on the run and they're going to lose them in round one or two. And so just being nice, conservative, solid picking can win you those smaller pools. In larger pools, you really got to find those edges. Like, for example, let's tie it to betting, right? You can win pools by taking a betting approach with the futures. Like, I'm going to leverage this unpopular champion that's being way underpicked and basically put my pool chances on them and see if I can leverage this pick because I think they're underpicked. If that makes sense.
Yeah, and this is it's the same thing as sort of daily DFS, which is redundant, but DFS, which is the bigger the contest, the more shots you have to take, basically in layman's terms. The tighter the contest, the more you should sort of just assess what the other folks might take, and you should behave accordingly. You should always try to assess what others are taking, but that will vary from pool size to pool size, big to small. This one's my favorite, Jason,
Yes.
because I think it's the one that people neglect to mention. And it immediately occurred to me, I hadn't seen your tenants yet when I was watching the CBS broadcast yesterday, and immediately, right, I won't pick on anybody specifically, immediately they launch into, oh, you got to love the 12 versus the 5, and this is the one you got to take. What are the golden rules, quote unquote, that you should avoid?
Yeah, there's a lot of them. People have certain seed-based numbers that they think oh, you got to always pick this kind of seed. You can't pick all ones. You can't pick all ones and twos. Actually, a lot of winning brackets, when we study them, have like most of the top 8 in their final four, and they just hit 2 or 3 of them and get the champ right versus, getting crazy. You don't have to like go crazy and pick an 8 seed to the final four. So all these are like seed-based numbers. You have to pick a certain quota of upsets. You don't have to pick a certain quota of upsets. You should pick those upsets when they make sense for that year. That said, I do like some 12 seeds in the betting market this year, but I'm not going to go crazy picking them in a bracket. I'm going to translate that to the betting. if I like a 12 seed.
And that's the thing. So all of these, like that's the other thing. A lot of the stuff that people are going to do isn't going to be exactly consistent. You're going to have to be able to process that you like, a team with the points in a bet. You have to be okay to pick them in an upset rewarded pool. You have to be okay not to pick them in a non-upset rewarded pool. So there's lots of things you got to think about. Survivor's its whole Mishugas after that. So all of those things matter. And just by the way, for some facts, just to buttress some of what Jason's talking about, a 1 seed has won the title in the last 5 NCAA tournaments. Again, we don't love trends, but just to let you know, a number 1 seed has won the tournament the last 5 years. At least one number 1 seed has reached the Final Four in the last 9 tournaments. So know that as well. Just because it's there doesn't mean that it's necessarily predictive, but in case you're going, hog on this and you're just going to go 5, 7, 9, 8, just know that just typically does not happen. First 4 teams rather have reached the Final Four twice in history as well. And some other things that we will note throughout the show. But these are all tenets. Again, understand your scoring system, assess risk and value, adjust strategy for pool size, and avoid some of the golden rules. Oh, you got to advance a 12 past a 5. It always happens. Well, yeah, it might, but it has nothing to do with actual 12 versus 5 seeds. It's just about your assessment of the game. Jason, now you work at Pool Genius, which is part of Team Rankings. Explain to folks what they can find over there.
So if you visit Pool Genius and you go to the bracket picks, we have subscriptions for customized pool picks. You can set up as many brackets as you want. You enter your pools, and we'll give you our customized picks based on our projections, our simulations, and which works for your scoring system and pool size. Now, I will say you mentioned Survivor pools too. Mm-hmm. Starting last year, we have a Survivor tool. We're big Survivor guys in NFL season. And I love NCAA Survivor Pool. So we have a tool for that where we give some ratings each day. NCAA Survivor's awesome.
The greatest thing ever.
If you want to be crazy, do that because you can leverage some upsets in, like, say, the Elite Eight if you plan out, like, which teams do I think are going to be popular to go against. You can win these large pools by positioning yourself. You got to take a lot of risks in an NCAA Survivor Pool.
Yes, super. You really do. It's so much fun. And then you mentioned real quick, because we only have 20 seconds here, Jason, but you mentioned you like some of the upsets against the spread, at least, or you like taking the number in some of these longer seeds?
Teams like VCU, teams like Drake, this is a strong, I'll say this, it's a strong class of 12s and 13s this year. A lot of the top teams won. That's not always the case in these conference tournaments. So that happened. VCU particularly can turn people over on a roll entering the tournament.
All right. Jason Lisk, that's Lisk, at Jason Lisk on Twitter from Pool Genius. Thank you, Jason. Great talking to you.
Absolutely.
Jason Lisk, everybody.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.